One second. Uh, yeah. So hello everyone. So today in the last session I had kind of announced that we'll be talking about energy security of India, but then need not be exactly that topic. Something related to that. I am just trying to encourage everybody to speak. So let's see where today's discussion goes. So and as we were just some time back discussing, Rizvi has something to say. So I'll just go over to him.
Hello everyone. So I didn't read anything about it because I don't really know the subject.
Yeah,
But
that's fine because this is your first session, right? That
yes,
is,
sir.
yeah.
Okay. But what I can understand from this energy security term is that India should be secure enough so that it can produce its own electricity and not be dependent on other countries, especially for oil or other things. So basically, small these projects, off-grid projects, solar, which are basically dependent on solar or wind or anything, any off-grid project. These can be very helpful for such a such a venture. So what else we can do is uh, for self-reliance, the more important thing is that a manufacturing industry for these PV panels and other things, they need a boost, and some sort of subsidy has to be provided by the government so that private players can enter this market. Because as of now, we are lagging behind. So yes, that is one thing that I can say. Plus, my personal experience, if I can say something, I did a thesis on this in fourth year. I developed a model for. Actually, I did my bachelor's from BITS Hyderabad. So there's a small town named Thumkunta near it. So I did an analysis on that. There are around 1,000 people. So I did matlab, what is the commercial load and what is the residential load, everything. So I used a software called Homer and I developed a system so that the commercial load can be met by wholly by renewable sources. So that was one thing I did, and so the cost per unit we were able to reach around 14 rupees per kilowatt hour. We were able to reach. So but after subsidy, yes, when we consider the subsidy and policy intervention, carbon emission cost also, if we get it reduced, so it was around, I think, in dollars it was 0.107 something, so it was very low. So that is what I want to say, that if government gives enough support, we can actually develop these off-grid systems which can be beneficial for us and reduce the reliance.
So any suggestions or any questions or any doubts anybody is having about what he's saying?
No, just Rizvi, one thing. What are the renewable sources are being considered here? Means
Okay, so for the study that I did, okay, so we considered wind, we considered PV panels, and we considered biogas also, because the Telangana website has this data on biomass production. For every district they have it. So I interpolated it and found it for specifically for Tumkunta. So that was also considered. Then diesel was also considered. There were different seven scenarios. So there were scenarios in which whole of renewable energy was used. So yes, that was there. It was obviously quite expensive, more expensive compared to diesel, but yes, it is a futuristic approach. If subsidies and these things are given, policy intervention is there, then we can obviously do that.
just one more thing, Rizvi. Is it a cost analysis
Yes,
type of
yes,
thing or a
yes, yes,
project
yes. A
model
proper
kind of thing?
techno-economic analysis. It is called techno-economic analysis because then we had this levelized cost of engineering and net present cost was there. So these two basic costs were considered, and then there was this column for how much of percentage of renewable energy is used. So yes, basically it was a techno-economic analysis. Yes. So the paper got published
Okay.
this year only, January 2020. Yes.
So can you share the
And it,
what you call the title of that?
yes, sir. It's a big title. Techno-economic analysis with hybrid solar PV, and it's a big title. I'll share. I can share the link.
Okay.
Share it. Yeah, I can share it.
Yeah, so you can share it. Probably you can use the chat window and all. No hurry, you can do it whenever you have time. Okay, so I think we'll pause it here, but then we'll again come back to the discussion. Not only you, anybody wants to jump into the conversation, you are free to do that. So next, yeah, so we'll next quickly finish Raja's point, and then we'll go back. So Raja, you were telling something about identifying peak consumption, something like that, right?
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes. Yes,
yeah,
sir. So,
so
like, first of the thing is, energy is like basics, right, in this era, because without energy we can't do anything. So,
yeah,
like,
I mean,
especially from the
keep the
rural
well-known
area.
points to the minimum. Yeah, so obviously, yes, energy is important.
So, like in rural areas, we use fossil fuels and all. So, if we and the electricity comes only for 5 to 6 hours. So, like, if we use wind energy and solar energy, it is everywhere. So, if we use that and we provide them, then we can easily get 24/7 energy, like electricity and all. And we can reduce the fuels also by using some induction gas and all. So, instead of like a cylinder and all, we can replace directly by the energy, like renewable energy. So
Okay, so basically, to summarize,
Delhi
these
is
process
Delhi is doing the
uh,
same thing.
should be encouraged in rural areas.
Yes, sir. And right now Delhi is doing the same thing. It is saying like for a particular area, it would be better if you provide some like generate some electricity from the solar and wind, so that it can reduce the like peaks. So suppose at 12 o'clock, they all are using washing machines in a particular area. So that
Okay,
is critical condition. So it is better like they uh, at that time they use solar or some wind energy. So that's why like in this time energy is like main thing, is a main key, and
okay.
it is useful
So,
for infrastructure also.
but Raja, so can we get a little bit more concrete now? So you are saying okay, it is fine. So what else can we? I mean, so in the context of others who just joined the call and they are trying to listen, how it will be beneficial for them? I mean, these points, okay, they accept. Anybody challenges these points? Anybody says the renewable energy should not be encouraged? So obviously nobody will say that. So So we are encouraging renewable energy, and it is kind of okay. Next, what next then?
So it is like climate and renewable energy, just like two sides of coin, na. Like if we use renewable energy, then we can directly do the better for environment. So it will like climate change and all.
Yes, Raja. So that is fine. Everybody agrees.
Yes, sir.
What is the discussion here? There's nothing. See, everybody else also agrees that climate is important and renewable
Yes, sir.
energy is important. So either either we have to kind of come up with some kind of interesting thing that is unexpected, or some kind of information which usually everybody may not know.
Like
So,
So
I would like to ask.
therefore, what I suggest is like, yes, these points are good, but then these points everybody knows. So unless it is something uh, interesting or some new addition knowledge for others, then we should not. We should try to capture that in our discussion, so that our time is well spent. Yeah. So Rizvi wants to talk something.
Yes, sir. So this point of encouragement in rural areas, it will only be possible if there are subsidies of some kind, because rural poor people they won't be able to afford it, and plus poor people, the most important thing is cost. Even health is not that
Okay.
important. They are still using chulas, open chulas, so even health comes secondary to them. Cost is the more important thing. So that is the sad truth. I think subsidy point is something that has to be included.
So I'll write affordability is a hurdle in low income areas, and subsidies are must to encourage. Okay, any questions anybody is having on this? So, okay, so I got the link, and then there was one question Ganraj is asking in the chat. Will the day come when we are dependent on renewable energy only and not on oil? Anyway, we'll discuss that also. So I'll just, for the time being, I'll paste this. So this is a question. Yeah. So we'll come back to this. Yeah. So any other points? Anybody else? Or shall we ask Vipul to continue, or Vipul to start? Yeah, Vipul. See,
Okay, sir.
I'm just taking notes, so I think you are able to see it on the screen, right?
Yeah, we are able to see.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, before I proceed, I'll just share the YouTube link for that webinar which was recorded.
Okay. So you are referring to a webinar. Okay, good. So
Yeah, so this webinar was conducted by Mr. Baba Saheb Nilkant Kalyani. He's the chairman and managing director of Bharat Forge Limited. So, what he did actually, he proceeded with a focus on manufacturing industry, and he tried. He started his webinar by saying how a manufacturing sector, what is the current contribution and what is the future prospects of manufacturing in India. So, if we see automobile sector, it's one of the major contributors to the manufacturing sector, and India is having an ambitious target, uh, like 25% of the GDP should be contributed uh, to the manufacturing sector alone. So that's a very ambitious target. So what he did, he tried to compare with some of the original equipment manufacturers or the conventional automobile manufacturers, like you have Toyota and you have Volkswagen. So if we simply go by the numbers, uh, those two sells way much cars than what Tesla does today. But the market capitalization of Tesla is more than double than these two companies combined. So the point he was trying to tell here is that there is much more opportunity in the manufacturing sector of these energy storage devices like lithium ion batteries, and other battery management systems and everything. So right now we are dependent on our for our strategic initiatives, also for defense, aerospace, everything. We are dependent on technology transfer from, let's say, Russia, France, US. And for procuring the technology, he says that it takes anywhere between 7 to 8 years or maybe more than that. If the governments don't change, hopefully it might take that time, but if the government is changing, probably it might double that time period also. So he says that if we are somehow able to build that capability. Now, speaking about energy sector, um, we are actually importing all of our lithium ion batteries, or if I say most of the lithium ion batteries, from China,
yeah.
because
Excuse me, people. Yeah. Before
yeah,
you go forward, let me just summarize until here
sure,
what
sure.
you see. The point is, I've opened the video, and it is 1 hour 34 minutes video. Okay. Now, even if you watch at 2 times speed, usually in YouTube this kind of things, people speak slowly, so better to increase the speed. Everybody knows how to watch the YouTube in speed mode, right? So 1 hour 34 minutes means probably maybe you can reduce it to 45 minutes. But then what are the key points, key bullet points? So since you have spent that 1.5 hour time seeing this video, and if you can summarize it in just 2-3 bullet points. Then if everybody in this class you might have saved. So if there are 20 people in this session, you will save at least 20 hours for all of them. So like that. So the basic point what I understood is it's there right in the title. Self-reliance, right? See, in many sectors, right? In energy, defense, etc. So for everything like automobiles. So this is the main point, right? The central theme is self-reliance. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir. So
yeah,
yeah, if I try to summarize, so they have uh, 2 points actually, which I can say to
very good.
achieve
Yeah.
this self-reliance. The first point is what government should do. Okay, so I'll just summarize it quickly.
Okay,
Uh,
very good. I mean,
so
take
yeah,
time.
yeah, so they have what they were saying that for government contribution comes through national missions and infrastructure development, and obviously as Saad was speaking about policy. So if we reduce the number of the amount of bureaucracy, and instead of that we contribute towards the national mission, which focuses on infrastructure development, policy making, and science and technology. That is how government can contribute. The second point is where industry and academia. Academia, he was specifically stressing on institutions like IITs, and then the BRDOs and CSIR labs. So what he was telling, if we develop intellectual property and we increase our current investment in research and innovation capabilities. So we are able to generate jobs in these new technologies, which will contribute further to the manufacturing sector. Third point, what he was saying, if we more liberalize the FDIs, that also will attract global companies. So that way, technology transfer or increase of private sector in this area will surely help. So that is how we can summarize it: achieving self-reliance.
Okay, very good. Yeah. So you have summarized it in a very nice 3 points. Liberalize FDI and then private participation. So I'll just these are the 3 points. So one is first is government contribution in the form of national missions, and focus on infrastructure. Okay, and then the another is the role of academia and industry. So develop IP, generate jobs, develop technologies, etc. And then finally liberalize FDI, private participation, etc. Okay, so now anybody wants to add to this discussion or any questions or any ideas after seeing this? Okay, so if you don't have any further point, I will ask the point. See the three how to become self-reliant. Okay, there are three things here pointed. So the second one is probably more relevant to us because right now we are in the context of academics, and you are all doing your BTech course or MTech course, and we are right now in academics. So the question is. Do you have any plan or any idea or not idea any intention any approach in this direction, developing IP, generating jobs, and whatever he has mentioned, doing R&D and all these things. So what you are doing right now, if you examine your life or your present pursuit. So some of you are pursuing MTech, some of you are pursuing BTech, but eventually is it aligned to this concept of self-reliance? See, because if you keep this as the self-reliance as the key word, what you are doing now, is it aligned with making yourself and making our country self-reliant? Anybody wants to share your thoughts on that? You understood my question, right?
So can you please?
See the question. See the what Vipul started saying is that he referred to a webinar which happened yesterday, I think, yesterday or day before yesterday. And in that webinar, some distinguished people were there, and talking, and the link to webinar also is there on the chat window. And they are saying that self-reliance in energy and whatever. So there are three ways in which you can get self-reliance. One is by government contributions. Second is academia, industry, developing IP, and third is FDI and private participation. So my question is, are you as a student, contributing towards this vision of self-reliance, and how you can do that?
We, uh, I belong to the energy science and technology department. Me and Vipul and 7 students are there. So our current field of study is basically batteries and electrochemistry. So if we are able to in the future produce some sort of a new battery or an advanced technology, so we might this develop IP thing we might be able to do. So the self-reliance will increase. So yes, we are going towards that field only.
Okay, so good. So what Rizvi is defending is that, okay, anyway we are our MTech thesis and our projects is aligned in this direction. So eventually it will in long term it will help in India becoming self-reliant. So good. So at least you should have that kind of thought in your mind. So, as opposed to somebody saying, okay, what I'm doing, okay, I'm doing a thesis. Why are you doing thesis? To complete a degree. So, if you have such kind of thought, then your vision will only end once you get the degree. But after that, nothing more. So, irrespective of the degree, whether your examiner will give passing marks or not, what you do has to finally translate into India becoming self-reliant. That would be more interesting and more beneficial. Okay. So, yeah, anybody else getting any thoughts after listening to this part of
So
the? Yes, Vipul.
I can basically think of two approaches. Either we go in the industry and solve the existing business problems.
Okay.
The second way to look at it as create new business models.
Okay.
So by creating new business models, what I feel is, okay, you identify what is the challenge, and by using leveraging the scale schemes like Startup India and all, we can actually create new business models. Like if we say they are now coming up with shared autonomous um, vehicles and connected tech and all those things. So we see several startups which are based on just that, and it works fantastic in India at least. So they have created new sharing business model that is working a lot in India. If we can implement such kind of things, either we can innovate on new chemistries if we are speaking about battery, or we can use a sharing model wherein we can um, reuse the existing batteries whatever we are importing, and we can create a new business model probably out of that. Basically I can think of these two approaches.
Okay. Okay. Good. So, yeah. So if you again, I have summarized it here. You talked about creating new business models, startup ideas, shared autonomous vehicles. Yeah. So continue the discussion. Anybody else have any questions, any doubts, any
So can I
observations?
speak something?
Definitely. Without my permission, you should speak. I mean,
Yeah.
need my information. So just
Yeah. Yeah.
jump into the discussion.
Okay, sir. Not that I'm against the concept of self-reliance or anything. I just want to ask that is it like whatever they have mentioned, is it really completely possible? Because see, if every country becomes self-reliant in case of energy, the entire balance in the world will change. Let's say trade would change and the environment would change, everything would change. So, are we sure about completely becoming self-reliant? Let's say if Saudi Arabia, they do have oil reserves and everything, and if India stops importing and starts using its its own reserves, and so does every other country, we might probably opt for some other things, but Saudi Arabia might still continue opting for its still continue using its own resources. So there'll definitely be a difference in, there'll be no balance. So I'm not saying this is completely useless or anything. I just want to know how much is it achievable, and what should be followed for maintaining the balance, like despite having self reliance as well as at the same time maintaining the balance between other trade and environment and other countries and things like that.
Okay,
So I
so
raised the questions again. If you can see the screen they're sharing, she's questioning what is the logic behind self-reliance. Why are we blindly, saying just let's become self-reliant, let's become self-reliant? Is there any sense? Is there any logic? And the other one is how much of it is achievable?
sir, I would like to add something here. So, in the webinar also, Mr. Kalyani was stressing a lot, like a lot of talent pool is moving out of the country, and somehow we need to bring it back, or we need to stop it to some extent, so that we can achieve vocal for local. That is what the agenda here is. Speaking about trade, we we are not doing good in some sectors, so that becomes a possible opportunity for us to source in something. But our main agenda should be exporting and not importing, which is good for the economy. So that is why I feel if we become self-reliant, the main purpose is, okay, let's generate jobs for here, and if we export that thing, ultimately that will be beneficial. So it is not affecting the
So
trade. We are actually doing trade, but we should do more export than import.
yeah, Vipul, what if every country starts believing in this export rather than import? Like not only India, like no country would require anything to be imported then, and then there'll be no balance of trade. So
It's not true to some extent, because even US is also now having its agenda, like make and make in USA or something like that. I don't know. Every super, even the superpower is going with uh, vocal for local. So
I
it's
agree.
time for
What I'm
India.
saying is we cannot 100% be vocal. Like we cannot 100% rely on only our things. Like if every country starts doing that, then I don't think there'll be a balance. I mean, there should be some sectors, particularly which I believe we should keep open for export import business as well. I might be wrong in this. I'm not completely sure about this, but I feel some sectors should be kept open for export import as well.
I think it's unavoidable. It will always be there. Trade is unavoidable because it's not possible that we can produce everything and the other country won't. This is the basic law. This has been happening forever. So it's not going to happen. Saudi Arabia will always have oil reserves. So we will be dependent. It's not that Atmanirbhar Bharat is 100. It cannot be 100%. It is obviously true.
Exactly.
That is there. But
Uh,
now, when you're talking about this, this is more related to politics actually. Because if you want to be a superpower, if you want to be a big country, you have to, as Vipul said, that more export and less import. So if you yesterday only I was reading this in the Hindu. The article came why India quit RACP, this regional comprehensive uh, economic partnership. So the main reason that was given was that there is already so much of trade deficit is there, so India doesn't want to increase that. So already around $42 billion of trade deficit with China, India. So that is the number. That is a huge number. And all the other countries, all the Japan and South Korea, we have around 10 billion dollar of trade deficit. So yeah, that is there. We have to reduce that, and that can only be done through this Atmanirbhar Bharat thing. So yes. So it's more related to politics. That's what I'm saying when you talk about it.
Anybody else wants to add something to this? Okay, so let me add my point in this. So, if your question is, what is the logic behind self-reliance? So, it is about our interpretation of what self-reliance actually means. It may mean different for different people. So, as Rizvi was saying, it is something political and all. But then you can translate that something which can apply to you personally, and then you can pursue it. So, self-reliance. So, see, certain things, there are certain areas or certain things we better be self-reliant. Now, I'm not talking about any country or something like that. So, for example, let's say swimming. Okay? So, whether you can swim or not. So, if you are able to swim, then at least when you are put in water, you are self-reliant. Otherwise, you are dependent on somebody to come and take you out. Now, what about driving? Okay, so if you know driving, then maybe at least you can drive, a vehicle or a car or bike or something. Then at least to go from one place to other place, you can go on your own rather than relying on others. And we are actually we this is not a new concept. This is anyway there. Like if we look at certain things where we are dependent and then we want to become independent. So that is a logic behind self-reliance, that certain things we have to do so that we can better improve our living.
Sir, I want to add actually on Ipshita Joshi's
Yeah,
question.
yeah,
Okay, so Ipshita Joshi it's a first of all very sound question. So on broader scale, you are talking about open economy and closed economy. So before 91 we had closed economy. After then we have open economy. So in open economy we can import and export everything from our neighboring countries or friends countries. That is one thing. Second, whatever you are saying, self-reliant. Actually, self-reliance is in concept of sustainability. In the sense, if you don't help me, I can sustain. It's not about development. In my case, I belongs to a sector which deals with satellite. So we all know that USA has GPS, but we are also going to our own GPS. Why? Because if there is some problem with USA and they stop giving us the GPS signal, we can sustain with our own signals. This is this is the meaning of us for the word self-reliance. We may not be progress with that one. For progress and development, no doubt we need other exchange, other technology, exchange of technologies, exchange of trade, everything for progress and development. But self-reliance is in the sense of sustainability of us. Ah. So, in the mean, I am just giving the example of satellite because I belong to that sector. But in other sector like energy also, we should have that much so that only we can sustain at least without anybody's help. Yeah, for growth and progress, yes, we need exchange of energies from all around, whether it is renewable, non-renewable, everything. So, is it from? It is from my side.
okay. So good. I think that also makes sense. You're not talking about uh, isolating from others, but you're talking about first being sustaining on your own and then growing. Uh, Now, how much self-reliance is achievable? Anybody wants to comment on this? See, are we speaking in just some kind of dream world that let's become this, let's become that, let's become that, but then practically is it achievable? Is that what your doubt, right, Ipshita?
Yes, sir, exactly.
So how much is it achievable? And I mean, how does that matter?
Also, I do not know how much percent of self-reliance will be good for us and how much percent of self-reliance will no longer be profitable for each country.
Okay, so
Okay, so am I audible? Okay, so sir,
I
at
put
this,
it this way, how much I'll even use percent of self-reliance is uh, shall we say beneficial,
Yes,
and over a certain point, if you become too much self-reliant, it may
exactly.
become,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Over
So
the period of time, given if we cross a certain percent of self-reliance, I don't think it will be beneficial anymore.
yeah.
So at that point of time, probably you'll start exporting. That's the whole point.
sir,
But
at
what Ipshita is saying is, what if nobody wants to take your export?
So that
uh,
depends on the sector, sir. Yeah, yeah, Saab, please.
Yeah, Saad,
uh,
please speak.
so what I'm trying to speak is that this is a very vague question, that percentage of self-reliance is beneficial, because there is a certain answer to it. As of now, self-reliance is, see, if we divide it into three categories: vital, essential, and desirable. So as of now, this self-reliance is vital. It's not desirable that okay, if we do it is very good. No, it is vital because the trade deficit is huge. It's in billions of dollars. It's a huge number. So it's actually very, it's vital. So we have to do it, because if you go to the market, every second product that we are using is from a foreign country. Our these Nike or Adidas t-shirts are also not from India. They are made in Vietnam or made in China or somewhere. So basically, we are not producing anything. Even the companies that switched out of China, they went to Vietnam or Thailand. They didn't come to India. So that is the thing. We have to be, that is the second part, obviously, that foreign companies are investing. But even our own manufacturing industry is not, it's not up to the mark. All the small drugs or what this क्या बोलते हैं, toys and all, every industry, it is all dominated by China, or मतलब India, made in India is rarely there. So it is a necessity. It is not something that is desirable. It is a necessity. So
Actually, there
that
was
is
a
my point.
time like there were manufacturing setups in India. If you see in Pune, it was a automotive manufacturing hub back then. But then what happened is like instead of manufacturing it here, they thought okay, it is much cheaper to import, and that is how gradually all the manufacturing setup vanished from here. Now it is time that we like he spoke it very uh, aptly, Saad, like it is vital in if you say 82% of our energy dependence is on oil and which we import. So if we want to at least bring it down by let's say 5 or 10%, we have to do some local thing.
Okay, so just to kind of make it see this question, how much percentage of self-reliance is beneficial? Okay, so can I say in it is too early to worry about how much percent, because we are anyway at very low percent as of now. Okay, so in other words, if you are hungry and you are not eaten any food or something, you will not worry about how much calories should I eat. So first you will eat, and then first let's become a little bit okay, and then we can worry about how many calories you are eating and things like that. I don't know whether that makes sense. So the answer to this is that how much percentage self-reliance is beneficial. So it is too early. Maybe if we start becoming more and more self-reliance, then we can say, okay, so now that we are okay with this, is there anything else we need to worry about? Something like that. So, and we still have some questions to be answered. How much self-reliance is achievable? So again, the same thing goes as it is. So I think I'll just this answer I'll keep it here. So because it is vital, so how much of it we are not worried right now. Let's do as much as possible, and then we will see. Okay, so there was a third question. What about balance of trade? So again, this was also discussed, right? That is, we need to make the balance in our favor. So I'll just leave it there. So anything else you want to add in this? So there were 4 questions, and we try to put together some 4 answers. So I think we are making some progress. See here, imagine, see, you notice that we are doing all these things just by our general background, without any preparation. Of course, people have seen one webinar, but then we, apart from that, without much of preparation, we are able to, ask some questions and answer some questions. Now imagine if you prepare well, if you actually come prepared, we can actually take the thing to a next level and make it even more interesting. Okay, that's the another point. Yeah, so let's continue. I mean, anything else? Anybody else wants to speak? Let's keep the discussion going.
Yes, sir. I've added a few data on the chat box. Okay, so this answers basically this is for Ipsita basically. Okay, what is the number that we are lagging behind? These are the numbers.
So let's add it here. So I don't know whether everybody is able to see the chat. I think, okay, anyway, I'll just, for the benefit of viewers, I'll bring the chat here, and then we'll discuss this, whatever you just said. Okay, so just so most of it, I think I'll edit this. So what is it? Okay, some important person is saying. Okay, so this I'll just remove it, because right now we are interested in just the point. Trade deficit with Asian rose from 5 billion to 22 billion, now pegged at 24 billion according to government reports in August. Okay, so I'll just go back here. So this is in dollars, right? Okay. Okay, so these are all individual countries. Okay, good. So I think all are interesting numbers. So anybody has any question, any doubts on this? Just spend some time looking at this. So they're almost like 17 people, right? Anybody having any doubt?
Sir, I see all these numbers are related with either developed economies and one thing China, which is at much larger scale. But if we start to think about less developing economies than India, then it the discussion will be more. I mean, it will be more fascinating because then India will have a much larger advantage. Let's say if something like Bangladesh or Nepal, or I mean economies like that.
Yeah, but our major trade happens with China. China, US,
I
these are the
would
major
like to,
countries.
yeah.
Correct.
Before you continue, Now I gave a chance to everybody in the call, right? Whether do you have any questions or something, and nobody asked a question. So I will ask a question to everybody. Okay. So today, no, as of now, some people spoke. Other than that, so okay, what is the meaning of trade deficit? See, unless you understand what exactly is trade deficit, you will not understand the problem, right? So, uh, so how many of you know? Like those of you who are not yet spoken, uh, anybody knows what trade deficit is? There's so many people.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so Sushant, you might be knowing, but see, if everybody knows what trade deficit is, then it will be interesting. They will be uh, uh, interested to continue the discussion. Otherwise, they may not understand what it is. So, if you say suddenly something rose from 5 billion to 22 billion, how does it matter? What how does it affect? Okay, so again, I'm asking rest of the people who are just listening to the conversation. Do you know what trade deficit is? So if you don't know, at least say don't know. Lack of trading between countries. Difference in export import. Okay, so there were a couple of answers. Lack of trading between companies. No, it is not trade deficit. Difference in export and import. Okay, so then maybe those who know, any of you can you answer this? What exactly is the trade deficit? So that will make the rest of the discussion little clear. What do you mean by trade deficit? Yeah, anybody can answer. Like,
Difference between a country's import and exports, like how much does it differ?
okay,
Like sir, when we import more, export less, there will be a deficit for us. Like we are giving more
okay. So,
money to outside, and more money to outside in the form of less valuation, and we are taking, if we are taking importing from developed countries, their money value is high, so that difference in a common reference frame of rupees is called deficit, and that is trade deficit.
okay, so I have just written down here saying that if import is greater than export, then deficit will increase, and if import is less than export, that means we are exporting more and importing less with other countries. Okay, all these things are related to other countries. Okay, so if import is less than export, then deficit will decrease, and it may even over a period of time. And over a period of time, deficit may become zero and even negative.
Like surplus.
So in which case we call it trade surplus. Okay, so see, in other words, if I keep on importing and if I don't export, then my deficit will increase. So what will happen? See, right now let's go back. Trade deficit with China. Okay, it used to be 4 in 2005-6 and now $50 billion. Okay, so example, India deficit with China. Okay, so it was, I'll just repeat once again, 4 billion, okay, $4 billion in 2005 to $50 billion in 2020. So now my question is, so what? What will happen? What is the harm? So these things are sometimes basics, but it is good for people to know. Can somebody answer this? What happens if the trade deficit keeps on increasing?
So our money is going outside continuously.
Okay. So what we can print and give, right?
That is another topic. If RBI keeps on printing money, what
Yeah.
will happen in economy? So that's an like inflation
See,
will.
let me. I mean, again, for the benefit of those who are, not aware of this topic. Um, if you are importing more, that means what? You are getting the goods. Let's say some, washing machines, or some TVs, or some iron boxes, some toys. Everything you are getting from China, for example. In return, you have to give money to China. So let's say you are giving some money to China, dollars or something. Now over a period of time, your money will reduce, and then you don't know where to get the money from. So that is the issue, right? So that you will not be able to further import. Yeah, so what is the harm?
Local industries will get be harmed, right?
No, it
By
is
the
better for local industries actually. See, if the deficit is more, eventually then people will say, okay, come on, local industry should grow. The harm will not. The local industries, for local industries, it's an opportunity, right? See, local industries, it is harmful because the things are coming at cheaper rate and they are not able to compete. But if you keep going in that route, eventually for local industry, is it good or bad? And Sushant, you were saying something, right? What is the harm? You talked about currency or something.
No, sir. You asked if means if we print more means currencies. So like if we are giving money to outside and we are still printing more money. That you asked actually the
Yeah,
question.
as deficit is more, we have to lose our money, right?
Yes.
And printing more will only result in what?
Very high inflation.
inflation.
Yeah, or let's say result in inflation,
That
devaluation of currency, whatever. Okay, so good. So because this we were discussing this point, I thought, at least for the benefit of everybody, uh, first of all, let's confirm whether people know what trade deficit is. Trade deficit means if you are importing more, then deficit will increase. So again, now coming back to self-reliance, that is what is self-reliance, right? If I go to the top, what is self-reliance? So here we are talking about self-reliance. Okay, so how to achieve? So government contributions, industry, private participation, FDI, and things like that. Vocal for local, and the agenda is export rather than import. Okay, so things like it's all looks like it is all getting uh, making sense. Now, again, going back, look at the situation. The situation is definitely worse, right? From 5 billion to 22 billion, deficit increased with ASEAN countries. Then with Japan, 4 to 8. Okay, and with South Korea, 8 to 12. And with China, it is 4 to 50. So, in the fiscal year, India's trade deficit with China was 48, which was lower than the trade deficit in 1819. That means we have a little bit improved in 1920.
Yes.
Okay, so now again going back, see, again going back to these questions. What is the logic behind self-reliance, and then how much self-reliance is achievable? What about trade balance? Percentage is beneficial. I think now these questions are more convincingly answered. What do you say, Ikshita?
Yes, sir.
Given that these figures are becoming alarming. Okay, so I think we are almost
Yeah.
about to conclude in 12 minutes. So I'll just ask a question now again. So how do we find opportunity in this situation, or in this, I don't want to use crisis, but in this situation? So is there an opportunity here? So this is a question for everybody. Yeah, so we'll become more dependent on other countries and all these things. Yeah. So given this situation, so far what we are discussing, see, we thought of talking about energy security, but then not only energy security, complete national security only we are talking, which is good. I mean, we have expanded our topic, right? So energy security is a part of national security, and then we are talking about trade deficit and things like that. So now question is, how do we find opportunity in this situation? Is there an opportunity here? So this question is for everyone.
Yes, sir. So as Vipul said, opportunities are there, startups and all. But sir, then again, government interference has to be there. Government support has to be there. That is the most important thing. If you take the example of this Pure EV, which is the company just at the side of IT Hyderabad. So I searched for their price. It was around 73K for their scooty. So for that price, you can also get Activa for a similar price, which will be much more fuel efficient. So for an Indian buyer or a middle class person, he will go for Activa only. So that is the main problem. If you can get that for 50 or 55K, then maybe the person can go for
So
pure
you're
EV.
talking about pure EV, right?
Yes, sir. Specifically pure EV, but it is applicable to almost
As an
everywhere.
example. So
Yes.
again, for the people, Pure Energy is a company which is a startup company in IIT Hyderabad. They manufacture electric vehicles, that is two-wheelers mainly, not four-wheelers. And as he's saying, the costing is slightly more right now, uh, and about 70,000. So if government encourages this, then it will be even better. Okay. So
No, in Rizvir's point, just one thing, it is correct that at the starting we need subsidy kind of thing to make it affordable. But once a mass production happens and we are imbibed with the culture of EV, and mass production happens automatically, and technological advancement also. With these two things, mass production and technological advancement, prices will come down in future. So yes, initially government subsidy and support is very much required. That's correct.
Yes, sir. So mass acceptance or mass support will be there. Mass production will be there when there will be demand. Right.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, sir, one more point that I want to add is,
okay.
uh, sir, I read this report on green building. Status report was there of 2019. So, green building is a different concept. Okay, but it talks about energy efficiency in buildings. So, when we talk about that, this a survey was done for in India. Around 2,000 people were chosen, and all of them experts in green building field. And they were asked what is the main barrier for entry of what is the main barrier for green building in India? Why are they not so common? So the 50% of them answered that there is no general awareness. People are not aware how efficient this can be because they are always uh, turned off by the initial capital cost. The initial capital cost is more, but in 6-7 years, a green building becomes much more efficient than a conventional building because the operating cost is much lesser. Okay, so there was a talk just few days back, our industry lecture series. So sir was talking about USA. So all the windows have this e-coating is there, so it makes them 23% more efficient, and 40% of the I mean the cost is 40%. I think electricity. The production cost is because of the buildings. So basically, buildings are becoming more efficient in USA, in all over the world. But India, the major problem is that awareness is not there. People are not aware that how much it will help. They just look at the main initial price and they turn it off. They don't choose that. So that is the main problem. So lack of awareness is there.
So, Rizvi, then can the same be told about pure energy vehicle also?
Sir, I
So,
think this is
you are saying
applicable
that
to
what?
any almost all this green technology or renewable energy. This problem is there. Lack of awareness is the main problem, I believe.
Like
Because
solar also, sir. Same
yes,
thing.
sir.
Solar.
Because operating cost is the main thing where you can cut down, and but people, they don't want to accept change. Inertia is there. Inertia is a big problem. People, they want to follow the conventional things only. So that is the thing. Even in, you can see, even in these villages, they are still using open chulas, and but that is the problem.
So therefore, I mean, see, if you say lack of awareness is a problem, so by spreading awareness, we are anyway addressing the problem, right? So I think the effort that we are making here in the part of this coursework on energy management is maybe to spread this awareness, and by spreading this awareness, yes, definitely we are kind of addressing the issue. So I mean, it's that is the whole point. What I am trying to do in this. See, again, I mentioned it in the previous sessions also. It's not like there is some fixed syllabus and then we study that and then you write the exams and then we grade it and then that I don't like that part. What I would like is you all people to switch on your minds, go to internet, find out information. See, without preparation, we are able to do some of these things today discussion. So similarly, if over, I think this is a one credit course, right? So we'll have at least maybe 10 or 12 more discussions like this, and in the 10 or 12 more discussions, we can actually build a story, and we can actually provide something of value for everybody, each of us. So I request everyone in the class today. So by the time of next class, you understood, right? So you just on this subject, I think we'll see here. We still did not talk about energy security, right? So the see the topic. Just to so I'll just copy it again. So today's topic revolved around general national security. So let's continue to keep this as a topic for the next session, so that before coming to class, just prepare something. Maybe you have some, like whatever I'm just writing, some bullet points like this. You prepare something, and then when when the class starts, you can start contributing your points, your thoughts, your ideas, and your questions, whatever. And then see, like today we got this Ipsita asked these questions. These were actually very good questions. By only examining these questions, we are able to get a better idea. Otherwise, if you simply keep on, reiterating whatever is there without questioning, cross questioning is very important. So it will be useful. Yeah. So I think any other final points from anybody? So this is for the topic for the next session again.
Sir, related to energy security, I see opportunity in the supply chain also. Because unless and until we don't manage our supply chains, we will not be able to bring the cost down in energy security.
Okay.
Achieve that.
I'm sorry. Who is speaking? I could not see that.
Sir,
Okay. So,
yeah, people, sir.
okay. Okay. So what you said is supply chain for manufacturing of RE sources. Is that what you are saying?
Correct, sir. Yes.
Is should be made available. So here also there is an opportunity. Here lies an opportunity. So if you are formulating some kind of what you want to do in future career and all these things, maybe you can look at this one, supply chain for manufacturing of resources, and then you can find an opportunity from it. Yeah. So again, invest your time, find out ask questions, find out some information, and then just come back and share it like this. Then it becomes like some kind of a collection. And maybe by the end of this course, we might get some more insight into overall these things. Things may become more clear. Okay, so shall we conclude today's session here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.